The Republican frontrunner in Pennsylvania's U.S. Senate campaign gets some big name help this afternoon. Massachusetts Senator Scott Brown is headlining a Toomey fundraiser at the Waterworks in Fairmount Park. Our Bruce Gordon is there with more. Bruce.
Yeah, Lauren, Scott Brown is actually a freshman in the U.S. Senate. He's filling out the term of the late liberal legend Teddy Kennedy. So why is Brown such a headline grabber, such a campaign donation magnet? Well, it's fairly simple. He's a Republican who won statewide office in an overwhelmingly Democratic-leaning state, and he's obviously the first one to do so with lots of help from the Tea Party faction of the GOP. That's key. Of course, not long after that special election victory back in January for Brown, he angered many Tea Partyists by reaching across the political aisle and supporting the Obama administration on a jobs bill that was opposed by the vast majority of Republicans. So in light of recent developments in Delaware, we wanted to know Brown's current assessment of the Tea Party. Will it help or hurt the GOP come November? There's obviously a lot of enthusiasm among Tea Party folks. Does that help come November?
Well, there's enthusiasm with everybody. I don't think this election is just about people who care about the fiscal and financial security of our country, which is my definition of somebody who's a Tea Party member. I think everybody in this state and throughout the country, they're very upset at the fiscal policies being pushed by the administration and the majority party right now.
Scott Brown up for re-election in 2012. By that time, Pat Toomey hopes to be serving well into his second year in his first term in the U.S. Senate, Lauren.
And Toomey has held a consistent lead throughout the summer, Bruce.
Yeah, he has, over Joe Sestak, the Democrat. Sestak has repeatedly hammered Toomey over a key and, frankly, controversial policy pushed by Pat Toomey, and that is reforming Social Security to make sure that very popular retirement plan stays solvent. The question is whether Toomey's fix will actually help the system and its participants or place both of them at great risk. This TV ad from the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee spells out the allegation.
Toomey has fought to privatize Social Security. It would give billions to Wall Street, but put your Social Security at risk in the stock market.
But is that really what Toomey is calling for?
Reducing the deficit.
The candidate was asked about his stance on Social Security reform at a meet and greet with seniors at a Northeast Philly bowling alley this week, and responded by referring to his own parents.
Social Security is very, very important to them. It has to be there for them, and it has to be there in exactly its current form for everybody who's retired and everybody who's close to retirement. But I've also acknowledged that there are problems with the design of the system for the future. And so for younger workers, I'd like to see them have a choice within a reformed Social Security plan that would allow them to accumulate some savings. I think that's an option that we should give new entrants in the workforce and young workers.
Describe the option.
I'm referring to an option that would allow workers to take a portion of the payroll tax they're paying and actually save that and have that,
invested on their own, if you will.
Well, it would no. I think it would need to be professionally managed. It would need to be regulated by the government, make sure it was diversified.
But the individual would have the choice.
The individual would own it.
Personal ownership. Now, is that the same as privatization? You decide. 2 points here. First of all, Toomey says that retirees and those nearing retirement age would get to keep exactly what they have right now. It's new hires and very young workers who would have the choice to choose that personal account. But how about the many millions of workers in between, folks in their 30s and 40s and early 50s? Well, Toomey could not or would not answer what the choice, if any, would be for those folks. Second, will this idea of a personal account really help keep Social Security solvent? Most economists you talk to say there are really only two ways to fully and finally help Social Security. Either tighten the restrictions severely or reduce the benefits. And frankly, Lauren, no elected official, no candidate wants to touch either of those options, especially in the campaign season.
Right. All right, Bruce, stick around for our next story. And considering how much needs to be done in Congress,